Before I get started with this episode, I just want to say thank you for the love and support that everyone has shown me when I announced that I was going to start this podcast. Your love and support has been felt and has motivated me a lot. And with that being said, welcome to the Imperfect Podcast. Again, thank you for the love and support. It was a lot more than I had expected. I didn't expect so many people. It's only like 20 something people. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that initial support. It really means a lot to me. And if I know you personally and you follow me, I really appreciate you. Um, this episode, not really talking about a specific topic, just a little introduction episode to what the podcast is gonna look like, what we're gonna talk about, stuff like that. First, I want to talk about why I decided to do this. My goal is to make relatable content. I know there's people at my age that are afraid to share their identity as a Christian. I know me personally. If you know me, you know I'm not the most talkative person. I'm pretty reserved, pretty quiet. But if you know me, you know that when I'm around certain people, I'll show my character more. But something I've kept in the closet a lot is my identity as a Christian. And I think that's something that's been going on a lot, especially in today's culture, with a lot of demonic spirits running around in the music industry and the movie industry. If you follow me personally, you know that I'm a part of a YouTube group called 240 Mafia. Shout out to them. They've motivated me to start this podcast, actually. Um, but we did 4 essentials videos. There's 4 members. We each had our own little essentials video. And my very first essential in my video was my faith as a Christian. In the video, I pulled out my Bible and I said it represents my identity as a Christian, and that I think that was my first time like publicly revealing like my faith. I hate to say publicly revealing because since I put it on the internet, but that's like the first time I felt comfortable acknowledging that I was a Christian. Like I said, people are reserved with revealing themselves as a Christian. So I hope this podcast is somewhat of a safe space to come and hear about Christian content. And I know there's people that also want to know how to grow their faith. They have questions about they have questions about how to be a better Christian, what to do with certain things in their life. Some people don't know where to start with growing a relationship with God, and that's okay because we all don't have it figured out. And that's another part of me making relatable content. I'm 20 years old, and people my age, it's not a popular topic to be religious, it's not a popular thing to be religious. And I think some people will hide that for the sake of not being judged. I know that's definitely something I did. Like, one of the reasons I don't reveal myself as a Christian a lot is because I have a fear of being judged. I also want to be a good image for the Christian community because I know there's a lot of, how do I say this? There's a lot of bad stereotypes for the Christian community. I know a lot of people say, like when I'm on social media, people will go like, Christians are always forcing their religion on others. And to be honest, yeah, there's a lot of people that go like, if you don't follow Jesus, you're going to hell. If you don't follow Jesus, you're wrong. Blah blah blah. And as a Christian, it's a bad way of saying. It's a bad way of basing our beliefs. It's wrong. It's really wrong to attack people for not having the same beliefs as you. So that's like things like that. Those are things I want to clear up and make amends for, if that makes sense. I know me by myself can't recreate the image of this community, but I hope that my goal is for people to see this podcast and see, okay, maybe those other Christians are just wrong for what they're doing, and this guy in this podcast is really showing us what a good person looks like. Like, I want people to feel welcomed by this community. I want to show that we're friendly, and it feels bad that I feel the need to clean up the bad image that's been made by certain people in the Christian community. I know like there's pastors and preachers at Sunday services, they'll like scold you for sinning. They may call out a specific thing that you do and say you're wrong for that, you're going to hell, and that'll draw people away from this faith. And maybe I can't draw them back in, but what I can do is prevent people from leaving this faith and losing people from this faith. And I'm not saying I charge myself with that duty of saving the Christian community, because I don't think it needs to be saved. I just think it needs to be cleaned up for sure. Now, going into the importance of the podcast name, the Imperfect Podcast, I felt like the Imperfect Podcast was the right name for the podcast, because I feel like the word imperfect summarizes what it means to be a Christian or a human in general. If you're not a Christian, if you're listening and you're not a Christian or you're a different religion, I just think it's important to understand we are not perfect and we never will be. To be perfect, you have to be perfect from start to end. And from the moment you're listening to this, there's definitely many times before you may be listening right now and say you may have the mindset saying I'm gonna be perfect from now on, but you can't be perfect if from before that point you weren't perfect. And the only perfect person to exist is Jesus. Jesus didn't sin from birth to death. We already sinned multiple times. And if we think we're going to be perfect, then we're telling ourselves a lie. And that's a lesson that I learned, because I know there was a point where I was like telling myself, Nate, you have to be perfect in order for God to love you. You have to be perfect in order to receive your blessing. But then I kept failing, I kept sinning, and I had to slow down and realize I'll never be perfect. There's no point in beating myself up over the fact that I have wrongs in my life. It's something that's motivated me to grow and be stronger despite my wrongs and my losses. Now I want to talk about what the podcast will look like going forward. I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a teacher. I'm a 20-year-old speaking to a microphone talking about my Christian faith. This is going to be me having a conversation with all of you. At times I'll have guests, but I'll just be sharing my experiences, my knowledge, my interpretation of the Bible, and my interpretation of the view of a Christian, talking about certain topics. Now, as far as the streaming platforms, like what it'll visually look like, I'm looking to have all these podcasts on Apple and Spotify, and YouTube. I know there's like Amazon podcasts on like that. I'll figure that out eventually. But right now, I'm just gonna have audio. I don't really have a setup where I can record myself talk. Right now, I'm recording this from home. But when I go back to college and into my apartment, might have a good setup where I can record myself. And this will come out. This episode's coming out August 2nd. So I say give it a month, and maybe you'll see some video. Now I want to talk about what I will and what I won't do in this podcast. We'll start with what I won't do. Just said it. I won't be talking to you like a preacher, pastor, or teacher. And by that, I mean I won't come with like a lesson plan or have a certain, like most, I think from what I've seen, most Sunday services, most preachers, they'll have one Bible verse or a few Bible verses, and they'll just like, talk about that, expand on that pull a topic from expanded. Nothing wrong with that. But we're young people. I don't think, well, me, I'm young. Most of the people I know that are following me right now are young. I don't think y'all want to hear me talk like your professor in college or something like that. So this is just going to be me having a casual conversation, and I can't wait till I get some guests so I can actually have a conversation with someone in the room with me, and we're just gonna talk. Well, I'm just gonna talk. Also, what I won't do is, this is gonna sound weird, but I won't use scriptures all the time. And you have to hear me out. What I mean by that is I'm not gonna like back every single little thing up with scripture, even though it's like the right thing to do. But I've seen this post on Instagram a lot of times. It'll say like a lot of people won't read the Bible, so if they're looking at you as a Christian, you're the only Bible they're gonna read. And by that they mean most people that are looking to grow their faith won't initially, or they're looking at Christians, they won't initially open up a Bible and read scriptures. But if they know you are a Christian, that you read your Bible supposedly, then they're gonna base their judgment as Christianity off of you. So what I want to do is I want to share what me, Nate, I want to show what Nate knows, what Nate's seen, what Nate thinks. I'm going to use scriptures. I'm going to share my interpretations of scriptures at times. But I want to welcome you to interpretate me first if you need to, if you need help with understanding the Bible at times rather than have a scripture heavy conversation. Also, what I won't do, what I promise I will not do, is I will not offend anybody. I won't offend anybody of any other religion, race, gender, etc., things like that. We're going to keep it nice and clean, respectful, and we're just going to try to remain as positive as possible. Now, what I will do in a podcast, like I said, I'm going to use this podcast like we're having a nice, friendly, casual conversation. I did mention we're going to have guests. I do have one lined up right now, but he won't be on here for a minute. What I'm really hoping that I can do is I hope that I can get people from other religions that I know to join me in this podcast. I think it is important for not just Christians, but all people to understand other religions. It's important to understand why certain people wear certain clothes, why certain people pray at certain times, why certain people fast. And I really hope that I can get those guests on here. I know for me, growing up in a Christian household and going to three private Christian schools before college, the only thing I knew about was Christianity. Like, I knew other religions existed, but I didn't know about the details. Like, for example, Ramadan, I didn't know what that was until like my freshman year of college. So things like that, I want to welcome other guests on here to share their religion. I want to use this podcast to provide a source for Christians and other people in general to just learn about religions in a casual manner, not necessarily a classroom manner. So that's really something I'm looking forward to doing if I can get it done. And to close things out, I'm going to just talk about the next episode and the topics coming up. Well, actually, I'm not going to share all the topics coming up, but the next episode it'll be our first like topic related episode. It's going to be about building a relationship with God. I feel like that's a good first topic to talk about. Sorry. I have a good amount of topics that are sitting on my mind that I want to talk about. And as far as how many episodes I'm going to do, I'll do as many as I want, to be honest with you. But I'll keep posting polls on my story asking what topics y'all want to hear about, because I'm definitely open to like cutting off my list of topics and answering a question that you all may have, or I may do a Q&A episode. Matter of fact, yeah. Episode 2, I'll say it right here. Episode 2 will be a Q&A episode if I get enough questions. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this episode. I really appreciate if you stuck around, listen to the end. I really appreciate you. If you follow me on Instagram, YouTube, I really appreciate the support. And if you're new here, welcome to Imperfect Podcast. My name's Nate Estrada. Follow me on Instagram at imperfect.podcast_ to stay tuned and make sure you don't miss the next episode. And I'll see you next time.